right, here we are. Tom's back.
Hello.
Yay! It's always much better when we've got Tom's input. So this is
we're shit.
yeah, because what do we know about drag? Fuck all. Tom does it. Tom knows the shit, right? So so we're going to talk about Drag Race UK this week. And yeah, the episode kind of happened. So we're going to kind of just move on to the look because we think the end is far more interesting. They did that daytime TV thing. Some of them nailed it. Most of them didn't. I thought the Essex girls were okay. I thought the two presenters, Bimini and whoever it was, were good. But then they had to do that kind of.
It was Bimini and Taste.
It was Bimini and Taste, and they were fab. But so the runway challenge this week was like a kind of monster mash challenge. Yeah. So they had to make monsters out of two things and put them together. So first up was a very.
Before we start, I do, because I actually watched back the last sort of episode of our review, and just for the record, Veronica, I am so sorry I spent the entire episode calling you Vanessa. For some reason, just a lot of the names this season are not sticking in my brain. But yes, it is Veronica, and I am deeply sorry for misnaming you like that.
I love how we didn't notice.
And apparently, no one who's watched it noticed enough to actually comment about it. So, you know.
I still say Veronica reminds me of somebody mostly in drag, but still a little bit out of drag, and I cannot put my finger. It's just the face is familiar, and I can't put my finger on it. I keep thinking maybe it's Danny Minogue, but I'm not sure that's right.
It's just Courtney Act. Courtney Act. Full stop. Like she just embodies Courtney Act without the Aussie accent.
Maybe that's where I'm getting the Aussie connection from. I'm just looking. I've just caught myself to the way the light's catching my beard and my cap. I look a bit like I'm sort of some sort of trucker from the deep south of America today. So yeah, I do. Anyway, so Veronica had. I've written Medusa Pig. Because if you remember, she had that kind of snout, like, and then like the big Medusa hair. I cannot remember what was below it.
It was basically black and well, I'm not sure if it was gold or if it was meant to represent like holes in the outfit, but it was basically quite.
Do you know that sequin fabric that you push one way and it's like different color? It was
yes,
that.
It's like
I commented on the sequin. I said
yeah.
Yeah.
For that look, I didn't really get it. I didn't really get the monster mashup, to be honest, because none of them really sort of mushed together.
No.
I'm like, it's total opposite end of the spectrum. But her look, pig and snakes. I don't know, like
I think because Veronica is very much a smart queen. That's how she kind of, I think, portrays herself in the talking heads and everything. And I think she was absolutely doing like a Greek mythology monster mashup. I must admit, when she first came on, because I kind of missed the mashup bit of monster, so I was just like, why is she doing Medusa with a pig's face? What the hell is that all about? I don't think it was until about like 4 or 5 queens in that I actually went, oh, that's why they're doing it, and then obviously had to kind of backtrack. But basically, I think she was effectively mashing obviously Medusa and Circe together, with Circe turning the sailors into pigs. I think that's what she was going for. I loved the Medusa bit of the outfit, but the pig bit just didn't work, because especially the ears. It was like something you do in, and I'm really sorry for saying this, Veronica, but it looked like something you did in like play school. It was like literally like, a bit of card that there wasn't the same artistry to the pig element for me that she put into the rest of the outfit. And I just think it was too much of a clash of quality as much as style.
It's more of, she put more attention into the Medusa look than the pig, because from here to here was Medusa, and then from here down was Medusa, and then the rest was pig. So I'm like, could have done something on the bottom. Like she could have wore hoofs, like those heels. She could have wore them. And it would have been quite funny. Yeah.
Wasn't there though. Wasn't really there. Then you had Sister, and she was zombie mummy thing. So I do remember this one because it was she kind of bluish eyes and was more or less just wrapped in. Yeah, yeah. The fur poking out didn't really do anything for me. I've got to be honest.
Didn't get werewolf from it.
I didn't get werewolf. I did like the eyes though. I remember liking the eyes.
I don't even remember the eyes.
I think I remember. I think I remember them more from her conversation in the Untucked section.
Right.
Obviously, UK they put Untucked into the main show, don't they? So, yeah, there was a sort of a. Because obviously she'd been paired with Veronica when they were the Goths, and there was just this little bit of animosity going on there.
I mean, I do want to say about that because I think obviously it's safe to say that Veronica didn't do brilliantly in the sort of the actual acting challenge / comedy challenge / whatever it was, but I don't think she did as badly as she herself sort of thought she did, because I think she actually quite kind of nailed the goth attitude.
Yeah, but less is more. She just overdid it.
Yeah, I mean,
finish up a bit more.
Yeah, and I think she just or gone the other way and completely leaned into it and done like a Darla or someone like that, which is just almost do like an American spin on it, and just make it look like she's so fucking bored to be there that literally everything is just an effort. So she didn't do that badly. I got more pissed off with how Sister frankly reacted to her, which is just like, oh, I failed because of you. It's like,
no, honey, you were on set too. You can't push all of your blame on you. And I think Michelle actually said it to her.
Yeah,
you can't sit and wait for them to give you the cues. You've got to take your moment, and I absolutely agree with that. You can't in a challenge like that, an improv challenge. That's the whole point. If it's scripted or whatever, then yeah, fine. There's the give and the take. But if it's improv and your moment isn't coming, you make it. It's as simple as that. So I think, yeah, being a bit of a Mardy bitch about sort of like, oh, I didn't get my moment because of you. Well, no, you didn't get your moment because of you.
Going back to her look, I feel like the only part about it was werewolf was the tail, because the hands weren't really noticeable and the hair wasn't giving me werewolf. If she had blue ears poking out, then maybe that would have,
Yeah.
She could have been a cat rather than a werewolf. But if she had I feel like if she had a big hump on her back with like all the fur popping out the back, with the tail, long claws with the mummy, I think you would have got it more.
Yeah.
Because she didn't go all out with the wolf. It was like just mummy with the tail.
Yes. And it wasn't even, I don't think it was that obvious on mummy, because it looked more like she'd taken, I think I've got some in the drawer. That masking tape that's really easy to tear. It's quite papery. It was more like she'd just done that round herself rather than actually bandaged.
It was very Death Becomes Her.
Yeah.
Yeah. She could have gone, is it Anubis? It's like the Egyptian
dog
with
god.
the dog. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like she could have gone that way with it. So it would have been Mummy and Anubis, or whatever his name is.
And that would have been nice, because you're matching up two bits of the same culture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically,
and I feel like it would have gone better together.
Yeah.
You'd be doing the same sort of Veronica went for, sort of two Greek sort of myths.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have like an ankh on a scepter, all of that sort of. There's so much more, because the thing that really struck me about that, which is what the judges commented on, which is, oh, it's a drag queen as a mummy in bandages. That's been done so many times, and it has, because it is absolutely. It's like the body stocking. It's easy to do. You're right. You kind of thinking yourself. You can kind of basically, do a drag look without doing any kind of real effort in it, which I know is very easy for me to say, not doing any drag at all. But just looking up, over the years, what so many other queens have done, it's just like, that's basically drag 101. We expect more from sort of our performers by now.
Yeah, that's fair. Then next up, you had Bimini as the sort of devil Playboy bunny. I thought See, I liked it a lot, and I thought the judges were a little harsh on this. The forehead was the only thing that didn't quite get there. But of course, the trouble is because it's the face, and that's naturally what you look at. I think that was more of the letdown. But I quite liked this. I thought it was fun. I thought it was campy. I thought its concept was well delivered. I thought it got an unfair read, to be honest.
All I can say about that is Legally Red. Don't even think about Legally Blonde because it's the Playboy outfit, you know, just Legally Red.
Or the House Devil.
Yeah.
I
just, it works for me. I get it.
mean, I don't get me wrong, I didn't hate it, and we talked about at length in sort of the episode of talking about the sort of last week's UK Drag Race. We now absolutely love Bimini for Bimini, and and think they're wonderful. And she was one of the queens that absolutely killed it in the daytime television challenge.
Yeah.
And when we're talking like properly killed it, she had to detail everything that got sort of picked up. But just looking at some of the drag outfits that sort of Bimini's done in sort of previous episodes, this for Bimini was very basic. I mean, I think Tom absolutely nails it. It is Legally Red. It's like literally just you had a bit of prosthetics, whatever the word is, for the forehead.
A bit of shit.
And that was
Weird.
pretty much it. But the rest of it was just your basic sort of femme body drag queen bodysuit type stuff, painted red. That there wasn't any real ornaments. Yes, okay, you had a tail, but again, it all looked quite just popping down to the fancy dress shop Halloween outfit for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then you had Tace with Bride of Frankenstein look. I've written the words down. I cannot picture this at all in my head.
Had the big hair.
Well, that's what made me think Bride of Frankenstein straight away, because the lightning in the hair.
Yeah, I think
I can't remember the rest. Like the
vampire mix-up as well, wasn't she?
I can't honestly. It's gone. It's gone.
And all I'm thinking now is, haven't we seen Vampire from Taste before?
Yeah, with the red look.
Yeah.
And the splatter across face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, probably lucky she was safe. Then you had Ginny in her toxic waste outfit, which I quite liked.
I didn't get it. I knew it was toxic waste, but where was the other monster? Because there was going to be two, wasn't
I don't know what the mashup was.
No.
I thought what I found interesting about it was I thought it was quite a different face for Ginny.
Yeah.
And it was leaning into what
it wasn't super anymore.
And it was leaning into what had worked well for her and she'd been given good critique from before, which was the whole sort of do your face differently, don't be afraid to be pretty. So she'd gone, as much as she was not pretty because she was a creature that had crawled out of toxic waste, Batman Joker style.
I will point out the shoes though, because hang on. We do have the same pair of shoes. The red 70s under the yellow. What was that about? But yeah. Don't know. The one thing that did impress me, and this might be really easy to do, but I just don't recall seeing it, was the fact that she sprayed the biohazard pattern onto the back of her hair.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It probably is a stencil and a spray, right? It's probably that simple. But I just don't recall everyone seeing like a shape or a symbol done like that on a queen before. So it was incredibly simple, incredibly easy, I would imagine. So bloody effective. I thought it was.
I think because I'm pretty sure because wasn't also Ginny was one that initially got red for her outfit because her heels weren't high enough, and also made the point that she just from the show she'd been diagnosed with fibromyalgia.
Yeah.
So and again I think this will not end up being as long a tangent as last week's conversation about non-binary identities and journeys will end up being. Please be assured of that, viewers. But I think it raises a valid point, which is there is we've seen it on previous sort of shows where queens get read to filth because their heels aren't like this, and they aren't doing X, and they should have done Y. And I won't wear those heels because they are actually bad for my health because of what I've been diagnosed with. Ru comes back with the whole, no, you're absolutely right, you should put your health first.
I don't think those heels are good for anybody, to be
No.
fair. They're not good for anyone,
No.
regardless.
So I think it will be interesting to see if there is with it. In much the way that you are increasingly seeing kind of like a lashback about unrealistic body standards for women in terms of just the fashion industry generally. And yes, also drag it to a very real extent is almost about caricaturing those kind of standards and obviously applying it to a male / non-female identifying sort of body type. But whether we're actually going to see that kind of similar kind of backlash come through into the drag scene where it's actually going to be, no, you don't have to wear freaking 15-inch heels and stilettos and all of that sort of stuff. So I'm quite curious, and it was actually quite nice to actually not have them kind of, as they've done in previous sort of shows, kind of push back against that. I'm wearing these because of my health, and you would quite often get that. Yes, but you still should have done X, Y, and Z. Fuck your health, essentially, is what it boiled down to. We didn't get that.
There's been complaints.
Yeah, we didn't get that. That's hopefully again another positive shift that we're seeing
On Logo and VH1, they can say "fuck your health" because it's all medical insurance in the States anyway. Somebody's making money. This is the BBC. We have to be responsible because we've got a charter we can be held up against, and whoever Mary Whitehouse's people are these days, we'll be writing it in their droves. Dear Anne Robinson, on this week's UK Drag Race, they encouraged a drag queen with poor health to wear high heels. Is this really what they think we want? I've stopped doing the French and Saunders.
He's been dying to find some way to do that in one of these episodes, and he finally found it.
I knew it happened.
I am so sorry, everybody. I literally set him up with that, even realizing that's what I was doing.
I win.
Yeah, I think oh, you okay? Oh, you forgot to wear it. But yeah, I wish I was here last week because I actually identify as gender fluid. So in drag, I like to play with the thought of, oh, it's a man in a dress.
Yeah.
But wait a minute, she's got a feminine body. So is it a woman or is it like... So I like playing with that, but I don't necessarily like wearing heels. I just feel like they're uncomfortable. And you get Doc Martens and you get like the trainers, which are all blinged up. I feel like you could get away with something like that if you had the right outfit for it.
Well, it was Baby Spice's thing, wasn't it? The chunky wedgie trainers. I mean, that's like 25 years ago, So it's not a new thing. I think it's just something that needs to be brought into drag a bit more. And, I think certainly for someone like you, Tom, because you're already 25 feet tall. It's. I think if we make you much taller, there's no hope for the rest of us, especially if you're a short ass like me who has to spend a lot of time on stage stood next to you. It's
delightful to watch, and it's actually quite nice, actually, for me to meet someone that I actually don't have to constantly be doing that to all the time. So thank you for that, Tom. I appreciate it.
I agree. I think there is that. It's got to be a move forward. If sort of drag was what pushed the envelope, well, society has kind of met it like for like, and now it's almost as if drag standards are falling behind because they're stuck in a drag must be this way. Where I don't think it has to be.
It is nice to see people like Ginny Lemon, Crystal from the first series, playing with different types of drag, and seeing that on TV is obviously going to push loads of people like them forward into the limelight, and it's just going to be a whole new level of drag that people are not used to. But I think they'll get to love because the queens will be comfortable, and because they're comfortable, they'll shine more or brighter.
I mean, if you imagine if there'd been a Crystal Method in a season 1 to 5 of Drag Race. I mean, I know Sharon would have been your closest match, if you like.
And Sharon got red for being a weird queen for a good first half of the run,
and also took a lot of shit from the other queens in the workroom for being Sharon, and then won, which is fantastic. But you know, I think it just shows the journey that drag has come on and what Drag Race has done for that. But I think you're right. I think and you are seeing it a bit. But I think kind of the judges need to lose some of their old school attitude a little bit. More so, as much as it pains me to say it, Rue and Michelle, as much as I absolutely love
close personal friend.
My close personal friend, Michelle Starch. But I think I've said to you, she's relaxed a few things and warmed on a few things this season. So far, she hasn't read anyone just for wearing green.
No,
so you know, so I think that journey is there. But long may it continue.
I think, kind of building on that, one of the things that's certainly struck me about Michelle, possibly more so in the US, but we're definitely seeing it in the UK one as well. Yes, she is still the judge that goes the read and to get the moment, but very differently from what it was on previously, which is kind of where what we've talked about, like reading so much, being weird and doing like the same thing within that style. What she's reading, or what she feels like she's reading now to me, is that she's reading for not doing the best they can do. So like she comes across as being a lot more accepting of sort of queens who go down the more like gender fluid route and just like messing with gender, like your Joey J's, for example, the US one, who don't necessarily do the big like drag hair and go for the quite almost like butch lesbian / Annie Lennox / androgyny kind of room. Is the best way I can describe it, frankly, because I think that will, for most of our viewers, that will probably cover at least someone they know and think, right, yes.
But they probably just knew Joey J and you could just said his hair. Yeah. But anyway.
But just think, look at my hair and that's exactly it.
Yeah, totally,
every episode.
Yeah.
But I think it's good. She'll read someone for saying, right, I know you can do better. And she's not saying reading them for, I mean, okay, yeah, bad example, I think, with Joey J, because she did actually read Joey J for not like wearing a wig from time to time.
Yeah, it was a bit, let's see a wig at some point.
Yeah. But it's not to the extent it used to be, where it seemed to be like every episode she would read someone for basically doing a traditional style of drag, essentially, and not like being true to themselves, which is why it's actually, I think, nice to see that now, where she is just like, right, is this the best that I think you could do? No. And she reads them for that, rather than kind of just being about a particular style of drag. But you stop doing that.
It's a shame you can't see the cat reacting to the alcohol on my hands. It's like, to me, here's the thing. Here's the thing with Michelle, right? So to me, Michelle was like harsh school drag mom, right? Tell you off, be afraid of me, I will be the one who puts you in detention, boy, kind of thing. And she's now kind of gone to semi-cool auntie phase, and I can't think if it, sorry Michelle, if it's because she's now in her 50s. I mean, I'm 50 this year, so it's fine. But you know what I mean, though, because she's gone from that like telling you off figure to that kind of I would have done it when I was your age. Oh well, it's that mum to auntie step. So next up, season 17, 18, expect Dirty Granny.
Handing out chocolates and sweets to every single drag queen that comes through the door.
Handbag with
like,
yeah.
Big glasses, big thick glasses. Well, she's already started the grey, so
I know she's got the
go with it.
Gorgeous.
Go with it.
Yeah.
Stunning.
But I can't wait for the episode where she actually is reading someone on the panel, and the first thing she comes out with, why they're looking at, right, have you had a good poo? Because that's what my nan always was straight away. if I wasn't right, well, have you been to the toilet? Have you had a poo? And if you haven't, here, have some mints because that'll help you go. I can't wait for that version of Michelle on the panel. That'll be amazing.
Yes, that's definitely something to look forward to.
So moving on to Lawrence Cheney.
Speaking of big
No, Lawrence is lovely. We love you, Lawrence. Don't listen to a word he's saying.
You gotta say it correctly, Paul.
Yeah, Lawrence Cheney.
There you go.
Slasher outfit is what I've written down.
I like.
I'm trying to remember. Was it
It's
she have
human
the,
skin.
the flat version of someone? No.
Yeah, no. Literally, it was essentially her face.
Oh, she had like that was it, and a nipple and an ear and a
Human skin.
half a foreskin and whatever it was.
Eyeballs in the
I'm with
earlobe.
you. I'm there.
And
I'm
she
there.
had, like, the blood spatters.
Yeah.
And to be fair, the blood spatters were actually, I think they were jewel encrusted.
Yeah, yes, they were. But you didn't really clock it first time.
No.
But yeah.
I did like this one. I know Taste did Bride of Frankenstein, and she's a Welsh queen, and we got to stick with her. But I preferred Lawrence's version because it was much more elevated than what Taste's was.
Yeah.
It gave me Bride of Frankenstein, but Sweeney Todd, but then also go into in Silence of the Lambs. What's his name?
Hannibal Lecter. Yeah.
With the nipples on the dress, and
Yeah. It was class. What I liked about this, and not just for drag, but for any kind of art form or whatever it might be, I love it if you can just keep going back to something and seeing more. So whether that's a film and you suddenly realise that all this shit was going on in the background that's super intelligent and relevant and all the rest of it, and but you won't clock that until the third or fourth time you watch that film or TV show. If there's a play and actually someone in the background is doing hilarious stuff, but exactly that. It was a bit obvious because I think everyone would have just seen you do it. But that kind of thing, I love it. And pictures. If you keep going back to a picture and seeing more meaning to it, or other levels to it, or images within images, it's just something I think it's the best art if it just keeps working. Yes. And that's 100% what this outfit was. It was, seeing it on the runway, I took certain bits from it. Seeing her on the runway for her critique, I saw more. Seeing her backstage, in close-ups in the uncut scenes, I'd find more again. And there was just more and more to find every time you looked at it. I'm willing to bet if you put a photograph of it on the screen now, I would find something else I hadn't seen. I guarantee it.
Out of all the queens that have been on season 2, I relate to Lawrence the most.
Yeah.
Just because of her costumes, her confidence levels, like everything to do with Lawrence, I'm sort of relating to her the most.
Yeah.
And at the moment, she's my top runner for winning.
I can see it. I can 100%. And isn't Lawrence one of the youngest on this season? I want to say 23. I might be wrong.
No, I think Ellie Diamond's the youngest. And then I'm sure Lawrence Cheney, she's quite older than Ellie Diamond, I thought, because she was on the scene before Ellie, and Ellie was making her wigs and stuff.
He's got his phone here. We'll look it up. I don't know. I want to say because the other thing is Lawrence is one of those queens where her character comes through out of drag. I know there was the whole thing of whichever episode it was where she left her makeup on. I think it was the first one, wasn't it?
The first one, yeah.
Yeah. 23, yeah.
Oh, okay. That's why I relate to her then, because she's my age.
Yeah. but you've got to think, if I look back to when I was 23, possibly if you went into sort of like more of the like inner conurbations where there was larger scenes and cultures or whatever. So you're going to London, going to Manchester, going to Brighton. But, when I think of the gay bar I used to go when I was 23, it was rare anyone came in drag. And if they did, they were probably 35 plus. You just didn't see it. So I think, wow, what a wonderful thing that at 23, you can have drag queens of the caliber of Lawrence Cheney. I mean, Christ.
She's so mature as well. Considering she's 23, she comes across like she's so experienced and she's so mature. But obviously, she's not.
Yeah, I know.
Like
Yeah, but
she's
it's not in
young.
here, is it?
No,
Well, you know, fingers crossed. The way things are going, could take the crown. Do they get a crown in the BBC? Or are we not allowed crowns? It's just badges.
no, it's a crown and scepter, I think, and the badges instead of money, and
Yeah.
the Hollywood thing.
Yeah, you get to go and do a series. I'm assuming the Vivian's done hers, or maybe
Oh,
COVID dropped it on the end.
it was awful.
Really?
It was awful.
Okay.
Yeah, awful.
So
It's
let's
on
move on
BBC
from that.
Three. It is on BBC Three,
Is it?
but
Oh,
give it a watch. I think it's the Vivian takes on Hollywood, something like that.
right.
So yeah, just give it a watch if you're willing.
I'm not sure I want to commit. So then that does take us on nicely to Ellie Diamond, who we keep saying another one reminds us of someone we can't put our finger on.
But to be clear, this is Ellie out of drag.
Yeah.
Reminds us of someone.
Yeah. In inverted commas, boy Ellie.
Yeah.
Because we don't know. I'm not sure how Ellie identifies. But and I've written 3 words. And I can't read the middle one. Which werewolf goblin? That werewolf?
Yeah.
Looks like wet ones. Wet wipe. Which wet wipe goblin?
That one.
I can't remember it. I can't remember it.
It was the green. All I can remember it is the green skin. I think Hook's nose.
Oh no, I can remember it. It was a bit Fungus the Bogeyman.
Yeah, I didn't really get where Ellie was going with this.
Yeah.
To be fair, it just looked a bit like she was doing some kind of like Wicked Witch of the West type mashup.
No, I didn't see the Wicked Witch of the West.
Yeah, but that's because you're a Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, I am a Wizard of Oz fanatic.
Yeah, that's lesser mortals.
Yeah, it was. I tell you what it was like. Do you right? So, Never-Ending Story, the opening scene, and it's the creatures all fleeing from the nothing around the campfire. It's actually a brown creature, hobgoblin-y thing. You've got the rock dude, massive dude who's made of rock. You've got little Indian-looking guy who was all the Oompa Loompas in the remake of thing. What's his name? Deep Roy.
Mm-hmm.
Deep Roy is the snail rider,
right?
And he's the bloke who flies the bat. It's a bit like him, but green.
I should say I've watched Never-Ending Story and I love the book, and I've got no idea of this scene.
But anyway, that's what it reminded me of.
One thing I will say, we've seen it. The silhouette, we've seen it. She did it in the first one. What are we on? On episode 4, is
Five?
it? 5?
4?
We've seen it
4.
3 out of 5 times. We've
Yeah.
seen this crotchless dress, trousers. We've seen it. She needs to start bringing us something else, and Michelle needs to bring it up so we don't carry on seeing
exactly.
it.
Yeah. Come on, Auntie Michelle. That's her new name. Then I've got an absolute soft spot for this one, tea or coffee. Because I could just imagine being in a pub for the evening with tea or coffee, or in a Starbucks, or just somewhere, and just laughing so much. I bet tea or coffee is one of the best friends you could have, because she's funny as fuck and so observant, and she's just got that wicked sense of humor that just is never quite nasty, but just is that like, oh, but you know. And I've written down dead Egyptian enchantress.
Yeah.
And yes,
I love tea or coffees. I think she was going to be with the service, especially given how she was deservedly read to filth for her abomination of an outfit, which she herself would admit, because we had the whole thing about how she literally did the 3 punchline joke about her outfit, which absolutely landed. It was not a good look, and having watched it back because of the recaps, wow, Jesus, Tia, what were you thinking, love?
Massive improvement, though.
But I mean, but to then come back with this week,
and to do really well in, because she was the other Essex girl along with a whore.
Yeah.
So for her to basically just be safe, I think actually did her a bit of a disservice this week. I think she deserved to be among the tops and bottoms this week, just because of how badly she got read to filth. And again, deservedly so, but how badly she got read to filth in last week's episode. I think this could have been her sort of redemption moment. And from a judge's perspective, it wasn't. From my personal perspective, it absolutely was. This is Tia Shea. Yes, she can do good outfits. Yeah.
What I will say though is like she was with Ahura, but Tia was giving everything to Ahura. Like she was setting up the jokes for Ahura.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you got to see that it's Tia's fault that she was that funny, because Tia was giving her everything and setting up jokes for her. But yeah, they completely
you kind of question, would Ahura have done so well with another partner?
Yeah.
Now, brilliantly, they were a double act. They were meant to be a double act, and that's how all good double acts work. You look at Morecambe and Wise as an absolute classic. You know, it's your straight man and your funny man. It's your whatever. But I do think that, like you say, that probably wasn't picked up and recognised quite in the. I mean, obviously it's edited. That we saw, it wasn't commented on the critique. But then let's have a little chat about Ahura, shall we?
Oh God. Me and Paul, we have been chatting between last week's episode and this week's episode, and we both agree that she needs to go. She needs to vanish and never return.
Taxi for Ahura. I just think she's not coming across well at all. She has some. Oh God, I can't believe I'm going to say this. She has some vulnerability in the workroom. I use the fucking V word. Oh, which we Paul and I, because Paul and Tom obviously. So we have this thing about the vulnerability, and it's getting to be a bit of a drinking game almost for us.
We have talked about it. I think probably more so on the UK, right? But it's that thing that is, I think, a very different thing between American sensibilities and British sensibilities, which is the US drag is all about show us your vulnerability.
Because that's how people fall in love with you.
Yes. And as Brits, we're just like, what the fuck?
No, we don't do this. We don't talk about it. We just have a cup of tea. Do you mind?
We have a cup of tea. We make a low-key, self-deprecating sort of like joke, and we move on.
I refer you back to tea or coffee. I refer you back to tea or coffee on the main stage last week. That's the British way of dealing with this. We don't do vulnerability.
We are British. We carry on.
We make them laugh.
Yeah.
And we cry afterwards.
Yes, in private, when no one can see us, and we don't talk about it to anyone ever. Ever.
So Ahura has. Well, perhaps that's why I don't like her. Perhaps she's shown vulnerability, and I'm just my British sensibility has kicked in, and I've just gone no.
She must go.
The vulnerability that she did show, though, I just thought it was so fake. Like the way she's like, "Oh, I'm now friends with Tia Coffee," and I'm like, "No, you're not. You're just being friends with her because she's winning you the challenge, basically."
What I loved with that was because it was when they were doing the makeup, wasn't it? And you basically had Tia Coffee sat there saying, "Oh yeah, babe, yeah. Look at those eyes. They were just going. She was sat fucking like, real."
But she was gonna go say something, and then Ahura cut her off and was like, "Can I have a hug?" And I was waiting for Tia Coffee to say something more, and I thought that was going to turn the situation round, but Ahura stopped her in the tracks. Yeah, and I was like, I wanted to see more. I want to see you argue.
I think the other thing for me is, and it's not how the show is designed to work by any way, shape, or form. And I don't know if other people think this way, or if it's just because I've thought about it from a practical perspective, is I base a lot of what they say on their talking heads as well, so their commentaries between scenes, because that is recorded in one big block at the end of the season. So basically they do their elimination, and then when you see them like unpacking stuff, they drag them off for an hour or two and go, "Oh, remember this? Here, let me play you this little clip. This is what happened. Talk about that." And you know that because they wear the same outfit for the entire season for the talking heads. I think the only time they didn't was one of the American seasons where it got to about episode 3 and you could tell who got past episode 7 because they had 2 different outfits for talking heads and some people didn't. So it was it was a bit of a giveaway. But I always think if you I know they're trying to make it look like they're talking about whatever that thing is like it's just happened. So they're probably not quite being true to their opinion by the end of it or what have you. But Ahura is coming off a bit pissy in those, and I'm just like, look, you silly little queen, shut the fuck up. Sorry, Ahura. Actually, no, I'm not sorry. That's how you make me feel when I watch you.
Do you know, like in school, I don't know if you had these groups in school, the little cliques of girls, the like popular girls who were like.
Well, it was probably very different when I went to school, because when I went to school, it was the early 80s. So
for our viewers who are young as me, not many probably.
Old fucks like us two. So basically,
and me and Helen will understand my version of this.
But yeah, when I was in school, we had cliques, which was like the popular girls, and they were like fully dolled up with their like I love Ted Baker bags.
Yeah.
But they're like, you know, rhinestoned like cups and all that crap.
Those girls in my school were double denim and Duran Duran badges, or Spandau Ballet, but you were never both.
But yeah, they just remind me of like Case and Ahura when they're together. They just remind me of that clique, like just
the Mean Girls.
Separate them.
Mean Girls,
yeah,
thing, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, but I just feel like that. Obviously, every series has a bully. The X Factor, every season of Drag Race in the US, every single season has had a bad person or a bully. And I don't think she is actually the bully. I think she's genuinely like that in real life, like a massive bitch.
Yeah.
Ahura, if you're watching, I do apologize, but I don't want to work with you. Sorry.
Well, because the other thing is, you know, she may not be like this in real life at all. It might be, you know. But if that's how it's making us feel when we watch it, as an old boss of mine used to say, perception is reality. And Ahura, this is how people are perceiving you. So just like Fifi O'Hara before you, you've got some PR to do, love, if you want to turn that around. Because, you know, it may not be you at all. I appreciate that 100%. It may not be the person you are or what you like or who you've become since the show ended. But that's how you're coming across, and perception is reality, sweetie.
I wonder if she's watching it and being like, I didn't mean to be like that.
You know, I reckon you get that a lot. I reckon you genuinely do get that a lot.
Unless you're Fifi O'Hara.
Hate.
I like Fifi. I like Fifi. I think Fifi's funny.
I will say that one of the things that really came out of the whole makes the point, you know, whether it's positive or not, but the fact, you know, up until this point, you know, she works alone. She doesn't have other drag queens that work with her, and of course, you know, we were sat there watching it, going, "No shit, Sherlock."
Wonder why?
Yeah, do you understand why? Maybe because you come across as an absolute bitch in everything you do, and Tom actually, I think, absolutely nails it on the head. Ahura is basically, you know, one of the mean girls, one of the popular girls who looks down on everyone else because they aren't wearing the latest label. They're not doing what they sort of think is meant to be the socially in thing to do, and it's just like, no, fuck off. We don't.
As anyone who has seen Romy and Michelle's high school reunion knows, it doesn't end well for these girls ever.
It usually ends with pregnancy and infidelity.
Yeah, and your husband spewing in a bush outside a hotel at the end. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. So, so there we are. So that's
an actual bush.
Yeah, not like.
There's videos you can get from the. Anyway,
don't Google that. Jesus Christ. Well, that's it. That was everyone. That is everyone. That is at UK Drag Race for this week. So we've got. Well, there was the next time on Drag Race. Yeah. Hell of a cliffhanger. Because obviously this started production this time last year, before the pandemic. So we're going to start next week with the Queens being told, go home immediately, because it's the safe thing to do, which we knew was coming. And the weird thing is
we about 20 minutes into the week's episode, I
looked at him and went,
this one.
"Is it this? Do you think it'll be this week?"
Literally for about the past 2 or 3 episodes, we've been going, so which episode will it be that they announced the COVID shutdown?
And how are they going to deal with it? 'Cause I thought there's every chance they could just gloss over it like it never happened, because it wouldn't matter.
I thought that it was around the second episode that
Right.
they hit, but obviously not. 'Cause
Yeah. So we're about, well, must be like more or less the halfway.
halfway, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So next week there's the Tom told me this actually. I can't take it. Tom, you say it because it was you found this out. I'm going to steal all your thunder.
But basically, what I've heard and the news I've received is that there's going to be 2 episodes more likely. One episode based on like the COVID, so they go home. We're going to see what they're doing during that, or we're going to see confessionals, what they did during that time, and showing all that stuff. And then we're going to have another episode which is resuming after they sent them home. So it's going to carry on like the US with the screens and the masks and all that stuff.
Yeah. So what after Tom told me that, I went and did a bit of research, and it would appear that yes, they basically made the Queens do video diaries in lockdown 1. So that's what part of that episode we made up of. And then when they pick up the competition proper, it's actually 7 months later. So I'm just wondering, like, people are going to put on weight because they'll have made all their costumes for all the challenges pre-lockdown, because that's how it works these days.
Do we think that the lineup that they had, each week we're going to do this? Do you reckon during that 7 months that they didn't do anything, did they change the whole thing and get the queens to make different outfits or change? Because obviously they had to go home, and then they could have brought back something that they were sewing beforehand.
Well, this is the thing, you could have seen your competition. So let's say there's a they do every once they roll out a Madonna challenge, and you've seen your sister's Madonna outfit and go, shit, the bed mine is not going to compare, and you come back. You know what I mean? So I think yes, I think there's a valid argument for kind of throw out the challenges we had planned for the last half of the season and bring in completely new ones. But as Paul just said, Tia Coffee had 3 months in the house. Did you learn to sew, sweetie? We need to know. I bet you didn't, because I wouldn't have if it was me.
I think it was 3 or 4 of the queens are actually still in a house share together from when they moved in the first lockdown.
Right.
So I know it's Tace, Ahura, and the other 2.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who, but I know Tace and Ahura are next to each other because they're basically best friends.
Yeah.
But they're actually living in London, so Tace hasn't moved back home yet.
Ah, right, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why Taste introduced us London via Newport, or Newport via London, or whatever it was. That makes sense now. Okay.
And we do also have to briefly mention Ginny.
Oh yeah, have we forgotten this? Oh my god,
I was like, are they going to mention it? Are they going to? I don't want to be the one to bring it up.
Talk over me, Tom. It's fine.
Believe me, I usually have to get a word in.
Before we go any further, if anybody hasn't seen it yet, please go watch it before you carry on this video. Or if you want a spoiler, then we are going to announce what's going to happen.
Quite a biggie.
Basically. Yeah. So
there we were. The time has come for you to lip sync for your life, or wave, turn around, and walk off.
And did it brilliantly. And again, I mean, Tracy even made the comment, "Oh my God, she Bendela cremed herself." But, and I will say, and this kind of goes back to what we were saying before about the V word. Ginny absolutely did it in the British way. I mean, I love Bendela creme with the heat of 1,000. I think she's amazing, and yeah, the way she did it was just pure class in terms of how she was on Rue and kind of grabbed her back. But it was a very American way to do it. It was all very attention grabby and me. For me, the way that Ginny did it, which was literally, she's all in there, she's doing the thing, she actually does the thing, and then literally just gets up and just walks out. Doesn't say a fucking word.
It's
Rock and roll.
Give a little wave.
it's literally if RuPaul had just said sashay away, that's how she would have done it. But she didn't wait until RuPaul said it.
No.
She just was like, bye, and just walked off. And I was like, oh, she's coming back on. What's she going to bring back on? And I was like waiting for it. And then it got to the last note, and I was like, where is she? And I was like, no, you can't do that. She was my favorite queen, and now she's gone.
But I think she absolutely went her way on her terms.
Mm.
And that is, you know, as corny as it is, that is her brand. That is Ginny Lemon. And she's another one. Okay, so imagine you could just go and sit in a coffee house with Ginny Lemon and tea and coffee for a night. You'd be in pain by the end of it because you would hear from all the laughter.
I'd like Bimini to be there as well.
Yeah, that's a good group.
But I again, you know, just thinking about what you were just saying then and the walk off, I think much as I'm really sad to see Ginny go, in all fairness, I love her to bits, but I don't think she had it in her to get to the final. I think where she's at is probably where she would have stayed, just because of the fact that, you know, yes, she was trying new things. She was taking on board the judges' critique. She kind of moved away. You know, the jokes we made at the beginning about how she, you know, was studying makeup that didn't make her look like Sue Pollard. You know, so, you know, full props to Ginny for doing that. But I think this, in some respects, is the perfect ending for the stuff that she was talking about in last week's episode, where basically talking about sort of, you know, exploring sort of, you know, the status as gender fluid, non-binary, and not, you know, for up until that point feeling very out of control over, you know, who Ginny was as a person. You know, am I male, am I female, am I both, am I neither? Because, you know, we raved about the conversation that, you know, we got to see the very edited version of, with Bimini, who's obviously, you know, much further along that journey of self-discovery. But this to me was absolutely her going, you know what, after I spent a lot of last week basically in a bit of a state, not really knowing who I am as a person, where I'm going, what I am, what I want to achieve, this was absolutely her going, you know what, I know exactly who I am, what I want to do, and I will take control of that. And that to me was just so bloody empowering and fantastic to see. I just, yeah, I will love Ginny Lemon forever just for that one act now, because I thought it was brilliant.
Whenever it's allowed to happen, I will absolutely go and see Ginny live. I'll track her down. I'll drive for hours. I don't care.
I'm coming.
Fine. Tom, Ginny, look out for us. We're coming. Well, you'll see Tom, because Tom will be head and shoulders, and Paul. They'll be head and shoulders of the crowd. You see this little thing bouncing below them? That'll be me.
just look for a 7-foot person. I will dye my hair yellow just for you, Ginny, just to come and see you, and we can have matching mullets and everything. I'll wear everything yellow I can find.
Can you imagine what a night out that'll be? So yes, so bye, Ginny. We are gutted to see you go, but so glad you went at the time that suited you and on how you wanted to go, because, you know, that's all any of us can want in life, isn't it? When it's our time to go on our own terms.
So also, if anybody wants to find out what happened to Ginny and why what if excuses for leaving the show, there is actually an interview that she did with Gay Times. My theatre friend, well, all of our theatre friend, Vicky, actually told me on FaceTime earlier. Yeah. So if you do need to know, or, you know, trying to find explanation, then you can go to that interview on Radio Times or Gay Times. And
fantastic.
Yeah,
I might find the link to that actually and put it in the video description if I remember. So don't hold your breath if it ain't there.
Just go use
Just
effort.
Google it.
Just go do it.
Just Google it. Why am I doing all your hard work for you? Think I am. Your fucking mother. Fuck off.
You are watching us on the internet right now.
There we are. So that's it. We'll Well, we'll have the catch up about COVID next week.
Yes.